Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Amanda Shee. I'm an anesthesiologist and intensivist. And today I just wanted to come on and maybe rant a little bit or talk a little bit about why I choose to not discuss the pandemic and my recommendations or advice about COVID-19 and everything that's going on related to the pandemic. So those of you who have followed along in my YouTube journey, I did not really set out to have a specific theme for this channel other than some thoughts and ideas and providing advice in alignment with my blog that I started a decade ago. So back when I started my blog, my goal was to document my experience and my journey through medical school, which now has been great to reflect back on. I found that I had a voice on the blog that people respected and people wanted to listen to when it came to advice and other types of experiences and ideas and things that I wanted to share. So I had a good number of people that encouraged me to continue to share through the written medium. And I felt like it would be interesting to give a voice and a face and an expression and a sense of who I am in a different medium. So that's why I started this channel. I am an ICU doctor, I am an anesthesiologist, and those things are part of my identity, but they don't make up who I am completely. And while I definitely have expertise in these areas, I am by no means someone that wants to claim that I know everything. And another big issue that comes up when it comes to discussing medical topics or providing advice or sharing information about something that's evolving so quickly is that oftentimes, any time we post something online, it is already outdated by the time we put it out there. So it becomes a challenge to constantly be updating. And the reality is, I work a full-time clinical job. That means that I work somewhere between 40 and 70 hours a week in the hospital where I'm physically there, not including the time that I'm looking at my patients at home or the time that I am spending thinking about these patients or reading the literature about what's going on. So the little time I have left outside of this work and outside of physically being in the hospital, I don't really want to spend all of that thinking about how to frame or how to share things in an appropriate and in a accurate and precise way through this channel. So providing advice and updates on the pandemic requires that I have the time to do the research to give you the information that is true and honest and is actually going to be helpful. That's not something I have time for right now, unfortunately. And the other big thing too about medicine in general is it's incredibly humbling. The answer to a lot of questions is frequently, I don't know. And that makes for a very uncomfortable conversation, even though we are being honest and vulnerable and we're trying our best to do everything we can. Sometimes the answer is still, I don't know. There are a lot of things in medicine that we know how to treat. And when those things arise, we're very confident, we move forward with certain treatments. So for example, if you get a certain kind of bacterial infection, let's say a urinary tract infection, we send a sample off, it goes to the lab, the bacteria is grown over the course of a few days, we see what type of bacteria it is, we get additional information where we are able to test our antibiotics against that bacteria, and we say, this is the correct kind of antibiotic to give you. We're gonna give this to you at a certain dose for a certain amount of time because science has researched and spent the time to demonstrate that yes, indeed, this makes sense for this type of patient and this type of bacteria, and we have the data to show what type of antibiotics work against that. So in that instance, we have objective hard data to be able to support our clinical decision making. But oftentimes when patients get to a particular level of critical illness, or for example, in the midst of this pandemic, there's a lot we don't know. I think one of the hardest things is that people turn to medicine for answers. People turn to medicine to solve their problems. And sometimes the answer is only, I don't know. And I will do everything I can to try to find out what we should do. And I will use my expertise and the expertise of all the people around me in order to think really hard about what the best possible course would be for a particular problem that arises. I find that's not satisfying. That's often not a satisfying answer for people. And that is so hard. And that's what makes it also hard to try to share things on here, because first of all, I can only share specific things or provide advice to my patients, right? If I know a patient's past medical history and they are my patient in either the operating room or the ICU, I have the data there or can obtain the data there in order to create a treatment plan. Oh my God. I just dropped my laptop. Also, if you guys hear in the background, I'm being a human being right now on a non-clinical day trying to do laundry. So this is life. This is what it's like to be a doctor. Anyway, if I'm caring for a patient in the operating room or in the ICU, that is different because I have a doctor-patient relationship with that individual. On the internet, I have a collegial community relationship with you because I share things from my life and you guys share things from your life through the comments or through our interactions on our different profiles. And that's what that is, but that's not a doctor-patient relationship. So there's no way that I can provide advice or provide specific recommendations to you because I don't know your background. And that's another component of why I don't talk very much about medically specific things. The last part too that I like to bring up is the internet is vicious. I don't know how else to say it, but I don't have the thick skin that some of my colleagues do to do this type of work where everything you put out there is not good enough, or there's always someone who's gonna dissent and do so in a way that is not professional, that is not respectful, and is not a conversation or discourse. It is a inflammatory statement, defamation. There's just a lot of different very, very vile ways that people will attack on the internet. And that's what makes it so hard to contribute to social media and to continue to want to be a part of a conversation when it's not a conversation at all. That part, I think, has been the hardest thing for me because it's already hard enough to go to work, to see heartbreaking things, to interact with really sick patients, to be surrounded by a community of people that are tired now in this phase of the pandemic, and then also get attacked in my free time hobby of sharing here through this channel. I guess I need thicker skin, but at the end of the day, that's why I find that many of us are silent on social media, especially as doctors right now, where I'm tired as it is, so I don't have time to do fancy edits on this video. I don't have time to respond to every single comment, and I don't also have the emotional bandwidth to handle attacks when I have worked a 70-hour work week and physically and mentally am exhausted. This has really just been a rant overall. I hope that it kind of sheds some light on some of the challenges that we've been facing with regard to being a doctor, taking care of patients in the midst of this pandemic, as well as trying to be a doctor on the internet, a doctor trying to share what it really is like in an honest and vulnerable way, and why it's so hard to be a part of this sometimes. I don't know. I would love to hear from you guys, especially if you made it to this point in the video, about what you think our role as physicians online should be. What should we be doing, especially in the instance of being exhausted from work and the fact that I am not a infectious disease specialist. I am not someone that is doing the cutting edge research. I am a clinician at the bedside, and while I can offer broad statements about what I have seen, I'm not someone that's going to be advising or providing recommendations on what to do, because that is not my expertise, and I don't want to claim to be an expert when I'm not. This all being said, as an aside, maybe there's some imposter syndrome there, because I never will feel like an expert per se in one area, though I have much more expertise as a doctor and as an anesthesiologist and as someone who works in an ICU. So trying to figure out that balance has been interesting. I hope some of you guys enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts down in the comments on some of the points I made about why this has been so challenging, and also why I just don't talk about the pandemic in my channels as much as I could be. Let me know, and thanks for watching. If you liked this rant, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this rant, don't touch anything. And if you like some of this content or want to hear more about my musings or life or advice in the future, go ahead and hit subscribe. See you guys next time.